And so next, these two guys want to get a female to help them. And so they see her and do the same thing to get her with them. They place her under alien mind control and then call her out to them. And then the three are running scams and stealing from people. So you don't need to show a scene-by-scene progression on how the two are taught by the head witch. For example, just have some strange music playing as the female slowly walks out to meet the other two witches, and then fade out and then fade back in sometime later when she is now rolling with them, looking forward to the next big heist. So jump ahead whenever you need, showing a cause and effect. You don't need to spell everything out for the audience, and that'll keep your film moving quickly. So the female discovers, for example, that she has a strong power of what is called animal magnetism, and it is also called the push or pull. And you could show her discovering this almost by accident, and you could make it almost funny. So she walks near some guy in the street who was eating an ice cream cone and going window shopping. So she leans forward, and so does he. She takes one step forward, and he takes one step forward. She stops, and he stops. She takes 2 steps backwards, and so does he. All the while, he is in a daze, staring at the TVs for sale in the store window, and has no idea that he is moving in unison with the female witch. So she begins to develop this power quickly, and learns that by walking up to a target and circling around them, she could then move the target around as if they are on an invisible leash. Of course, the target doesn't realize that they are being led around. They are just unconscious of the witch's power of manipulation. Sometimes she walks behind the target and pushes them forward. Sometimes she walks in front and pulls them where she wants. And later, her job is to lead the target around. And if they get sidetracked, then she has to circle back around and get the target to follow her again. So the 3 witches see a guy with a big roll of cash, and the head witch says to the girl, "See if you could walk him across town in the back of the bowling alley, and we'll meet you over there." She walks the target there, manipulating him when he starts to get sidetracked and want to do something on his own. So finally she gets him there, so she runs past him, and she disappears behind the building, and she tells the others, "Get ready, he's coming this way." So a moment later, the man walks behind the building to take a leak. So the muscle walks up behind him, knocks him out, and then the 3 take his roll of money. So now they have some money, and they just want to amuse themselves and test the power on something else. So they decide to see if they could use their witchcraft to get 2 people to fight. So they essentially do a spell on 2 targets that cause a series of mishaps or accidents to get both targets riled up. So one spills coffee on himself, for instance. Another one loses something the witch picks up, and then they have to go looking for it. So the girl leads one guy from one direction, and the 2 guys lead the other target from the other direction, both angry and confused, and they literally walk right into each other, start to argue, and get into a fight while the witches sit there at the park drinking cans of beer and smiling about all this shit they could cause to happen while remaining unseen in the background. So then the head witch decides to bring his little coven to see the source of their power. So he leads them down into a basement where he keeps the gray in a jar of formaldehyde on a table that looks like an altar. So they sit in these chairs lined up before the gray, and they sense this weird vibration of energy coming off the gray. And you could show close-ups of their faces like grinning insanely, their eyes bugged out, and they're like drunk on the gray's power. And so they are all really impressed, and then they begin to hear the gray talking to them telepathically. And slowly they also begin to hear each other's thoughts out loud.
"I've never felt so strong."
"None of them have any idea what we're doing. We could get away with anything."
"I am the most powerful man alive."
We are like gods.
And so they are so impressed with themselves, they cannot stop grinning like idiotic maniacs. And that night, they go out and they begin reading other people's minds that they see on the street, and they quickly realize that they could rip people off even better with this new power of telepathy. So they see an older lady and they asked her telepathically, "Do I consider myself rich?" And they listen to the old lady's thoughts. And she answers, "Why, yes, I consider myself well off." So then they ask another leading question that she will finish. "And I keep all my money in?" "Well, I keep $10,000 hidden in the old fireplace downstairs in my house." "And I live with?" "I live alone. I'm a widow for many years." And so the three follow her to her house that night, see where she lives, and then the next day, the female witch follows the lady when she goes out, and she prolongs the old lady's shopping trip for as long as possible, while the other two drive a work van into the woman's driveway. So they have a cheap throwaway magnetic logo slapped to the side of their van that says Ricky's Electrical Contractors, for example. And the guys know they have as long as they need to break in, find the old lady's money, all the while keeping in telepathic contact with a female witch who will tell them exactly when the old lady is headed back home. So they get their heist of 10 grand, and they're all cruising around wearing sunglasses, looking as cool as can be, on top of the world, when all of a sudden, the next day, they awake in tremendous pain. The female witch wakes up and begins to scream. The muscle rolls off the bed, hits the floor and begins to twitch, and the head witch stumbles downstairs, cradling his head, and he glares at the gray. "What is happening?" he shouts.
Kill Fluffy and the pain will go away.
"My mom's dog? The fucking poodle?"
Only through sacrifice will the pain subside,
says the gray. So the head witch runs upstairs and sees the muscle and the female witch swerving into his driveway, and they come running to his door screaming, "What is happening to us? The gray says we have to sacrifice my mom's dog. Then the pain will go away." Now, of course, in your film, you don't want to hurt any animals, and you do not want to show any cruelty to animals either. But you could show the witches solemnly leading the poodle downstairs to a guillotine or something, or show one of the guys raising a knife and then blood splattering and poodle hair floating around his insane face. So then the gray, in its little weird voice, commands them all to drink the dog's blood. And slowly, relief spreads across their faces, and the muscle says,
So all we gotta do is kill a dog every month or so and we get all the power we want? That's doable.
So then you could show all these missing dog posters going up all over the place. Old ladies crying and tacking up missing Chihuahua posters on telephone poles. And show the team of witches all in government issue Top Gun sunglasses, looking as cool as can be, driving around in their white serial killer van, looking for stray dogs to kidnap. Show them chasing dogs down and then cornering them against brick walls, or show them abducting hamsters from pet stores. And slowly they don't look so cool anymore. Dark circles are forming under their eyes. They have pale skin. They got animal blood rubbed on their shirts. They have really bad breath, and everyone is less hypnotized by them and more repulsed by them. The muscle gets offered breath mints by bus drivers and grocery baggers who tell him, "You know, you really can't ignore your oral hygiene, son." They forget to dust the dead pigeon feathers from their shoulders after the last animal sacrifice. So they start looking less cool and more like gimps by the day. And the pain is starting to get worse. Even after killing the animals, the pain is still there. The muscle says,
I sacrificed 5 hamsters, 2 parakeets, a chicken, and a dog, and I still don't feel any better. How about you?
"Well," says the head witch, "I went to the petting zoo, and I shot a llama in the head with a silencer, and it didn't help a bit." So the next scene, they're walking down the sidewalk in a really bad mood. They're all in pain. Animal blood smeared on them, pigeon feathers coming off them, and they see a bunch of older dorks who appear to be some church charity group. And they're holding up signs that say Team Incorporated, TEAM Incorporated. Donate money to the Missing Doggies Fund. And these senior citizens have beards, they have sunglasses and hunchbacks. Some of them are fat and got bug eyes. They kind of look subnormal. And these people get in the witches' faces and they demand a donation. "Get out of my way," commands the head witch. And the seniors don't budge. "You better give us a donation, you young punk, if you know what's good for you." "What? I told you to get the hell out of my way, you beat-up old buzzard." One of the old guys thumps the head witch in the chest and says, "You're gonna find out soon enough just who the hell you're messing with, sonny." So that night the head witch wakes up with his heart racing and his chest ready to explode, experiencing more pain than ever before, and he hears the old man's voice in his head saying, "Get your punk asses outside." So the head witch runs down to the gray and he asks it, "They're trying to call me out there. What should I do?"
"You should do as he says,"
the gray responds. And so the head witch stumbles outside and sees an older, fat guy in shades sitting in a parked car, grinning at him. So the old guy motions him over and telepathically says,
"Get over here and be quick about it."
So the head witch walks over to the older witch, and the older guy says,
"So you thought you were the only one, huh?
"Only what?"
The only one with this power."
"I don't know what you're talking about, old man," he says, and all of a sudden a rush of pain hits him. Yes, yes,
"Yes, sir."
says the fat old witch with a grin. "Yes, sir."
Now go get your little punk friends and meet the rest of us at the Rustic Hollow campground, and don't keep us waiting.
So the head witch goes back inside and he calls up his two friends on the phone who are equally in pain, and he tells them all to meet in a parking lot somewhere, and they all show up looking like shit, and he tells his friends, "There are other people like us, only they're older, they have more power, and they want to meet us at the Rustic Hollow campground." "Can they help us?" asked the female witch. "I don't know,"
What if we don't want to go?
asked the muscle, and suddenly he falls on the ground and begins shaking in pain. So the head witch looks at him and says, "I think we better go." So at the campground, they go before the same group of senior citizens that work for Team Incorporated. These guys have hunchbacks, they're fat, they got long beards, some wear sunglasses, some have bug eyes, cross eyes, slit eyes, they're bald, covered with sores, have stringy unwashed hair. They all look insane, and they command the younger ones to kneel before them, and the old man says,
"We have been watching your progression for a long time and have decided to introduce ourselves now. This practice has gone back into ancient times. You don't think you boneheads were the first ones ever to go through this, do you?"
"I don't know, he got me into this."
Silence! As you could see, there is a price to pay for such power and monetary gain. A price far greater than a bunch of stray dogs and dead chickens.
"Yeah, and what's that?" the female witch asks.
You need to sacrifice a person, someone you love or once loved, and then you will be like one of us and help us in the dark arts, which is infinitely more valuable than whatever pathetic robberies you morons had in mind. So I will take the pain away from you now, and you will return to this place in 3 nights with the first of your sacrifices.
"And what if we don't?" ask the head witch, who is not exactly the head witch anymore.
Then it is you who will be sacrificed.
The old bearded guy in sunglasses announces, removing his sunglasses and exposing his demonic eyes that are completely black.